What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 Ultimates TMNT Wave 6 review, taking a look at the other turtle in this wave, the bad turtle. And this is probably the most anticipated figure in the wave just by virtue of who it is, right? So we're taking a look at Slash, and this is a much bigger box than I expected. So it's reminiscent of Leatherhead from Wave 5, or, you know, Muckman, where the figure gets a larger box to compensate for the fact that it is much bigger than average. So there's definitely a lot of turtle in here. He still gets the same familiar shape and slipcover, so you've got your purple slipcover with the Slash manhole cover on it. Turtles logo on the back as usual, and then pop that off and you've got your big bulky turtle there. In the big window, we've got our purple, blue, graffiti brick motif style packaging that wraps around, and then the back of the box gives us our bio for our evil turtle from Dimension X. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Super 7 Ultimates Slash. Again, the one that I kind of suspect has the most anticipation by folks, just because, well, it's Slash. Everybody loves him. He's always popular. And this is a pretty solid figure. I'm pretty happy with just about everything going on here. Couple gripes that we're going to get through, but for the most part, this has contender of the, for figure of the wave written all over him. I mean, right now, I'm very, very happy with him. He has a lot of stuff that I want to see going forward. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. He is similar, but not exactly the same as the regular turtles. He's mostly the same, a little bit different. And a lot of that is the head, because of course, he lurches forward, so his head's just oriented differently. So he looks up pretty nicely. He looks down pretty nicely. He's got a huge ball peg in there. Nice tilt side to side, like really good range there. Very happy with that. Rotation is there, but of course he does this, so he looks sort of crazed whenever you do stuff like that. Arms out at the shoulders. They go out pretty much all the way. They rotate. You've got your bicep swivel. We've got our single jointed elbow. We've got vertical hinges on those wrists and rotation in the box. He has other hands that we'll talk about later. Torso is still like a turtle, so like the others, he's got that sort of chunk in the cavity in behind the shell that allows him to do a little bit of shimmying side to side, and then some rotation, not much, but some. He is pretty sturdy too. Like, I've not really had any issues with him so far. He does seem to be trending towards the direction of, like, I want to see the turtles look like this down the road, because he's a very big, solid figure, and just in the confines of how some of the turtles, for folks who have those figures, that they definitely have some reported hip issues to some degree. I've been pretty lucky with mine, but I know that it's a thing out there. I feel like he, for being so heavy by comparison, does seem to be, on the better side of things, in the direction that we want to go. Now, we've got legs that go out about this far. The belt does hinder him a little bit. You go forward about that far. Kick backward a good bit. You do have your thigh twist up there. We've got single jointed knees, which unfortunately don't go back all that far. I wish they could do more. We do have rotation there also. And then we've got really nice rocker on those ankles, like that's perfect. And then you've got really nice hinge also. He does have one other thing that is a little bit different from the other turtles though, because he has a tail, and it works. So this thing moves up inside the undercarriage of that shell. So, it's not the most important thing. It's certainly not going to change too much in terms of dynamic posing with this guy, but it's there. I'm happy to see it, and I'm glad that it moves as a result. It's always better for it to be able to do something rather than just be some sort of static thing that you can't make any impact on. So he is very much a turtle, but I do think he is trending in the right direction of maybe fixing some of those problems that people have. And then, of course, he is a little bit different just because he has a different style of head and that tail. Now, where this guy really comes through for me is the looks. And I do have two things I'm going to gripe about, but I still think they really did a solid job here. This is a very, very nice reinterpretation of the Playmates figure, in a larger, more modernized format. The first thing we're going to talk about, though, is one of my gripes, because he is definitely not exactly the same color as the vintage Slash figure. And let's just bring him in to get this out of the way. So we've got our vintage Slash here and our Super 7, and you can see they're close. They're certainly not like miles apart. Like, I'm not saying that, but they are not the same color. Our vintage Playmate Slash is a brighter color, so it's a difference of bright versus dark. They still definitely occupy the same kind of color, like this sort of teal color,
but this is definitely a lighter shade, and Slash is just a little bit darker. I don't know if it's a huge thing for everybody. It's not really a big thing for me. It's just one of those things that it's not the same. So I'm going to point it out. He is, however, by comparison, super detailed. I know the Playmates figures generally have a ton of detail in their sculpt anyway, but this figure is just loaded with it. I mean, every single nook and cranny of this figure has something on it, from texture to the shell. I mean, even the underside of the shell, what would be the stomach. All of his limbs have this sort of like scarring and wrinkles all over it. There is a wash all inside of every part of his skin to bring out that sculpt. I don't think that's anything to do with the darkness that he has. It just helps sort of accent a lot of that detail. We do, of course, have his really goofy colored armor. So he's got the sort of lashed together just planks of wood on his shoulders, and it's done up in that purple. You've got the purple wraps. You've got the purple spikes on his elbows, on his knees. You've got the two clawed toe feet down there, which look fantastic. He's got his sort of pinky purple belt, and this thing is really cool. I really want to talk about this for a minute, because Slash's belt in the vintage line was a static piece that had a bunch of stuff sculpted on it. This is not the same thing. So it has 3 pegs right here, here, and here that go for the shurikens, and you have 2 different styles. You've got this sort of curved blade and the standard one, and those actually are things that you can take off and put back on, and they're sort of nubbed at the end so that once you get them on, they're not going to fall off unless you actually want to take them off. The badge and the skulls are sculpted in. They're part of that. You've got your backwards S, but I do like the fact that this is there. There's a few places for storage, like there should be a grenade here. We're going to talk about that. You've got a spot for a weapon here, and then some pouches on the back. This time they did it in black. Like my vintage Slash has a fully pink belt, but I'm okay with this. I think it's just a little bit of a change is not a negative to me. And then we have his huge shell, which has a ton of detail. There's cuts and gouges all through it, but then you still have that sort of layered patterning with the big yellow spikes that go all through it, snapping turtle style, and you've got his little tail peeking out of there with more of those spikes, which again, I'm just happy to see that. It's one of those things that makes him a little bit more unique. He's always been unique and different, but it's another one of those little things that just add to the list. But he's also really big. We're going to do size comparisons. He's big, he's beefy, he's very hulking. He's certainly not Bebop and Rocksteady big, but he has some size, and he's going to have a lot of shelf presence as a result of that. Now, we've also got this head sculpt, and this, of course, is our Playmates-inspired head, where he's got that super, just maniacal, toothy smile, and I don't know what's going on with these teeth, but they are, like, super deep. He's got, like, half-inch thick teeth. It's really weird. Like, I'm not saying weird in a negative way. It's just like when you see it, you're like, my God, his mouth is absolutely massive in every way. And he's got these big, like, buck teeth in there. You've got the gums painted. He's got the one crazy, big monster yellow eye. And then we have my other gripe about this figure, really, is the eye. That other eye is different than the vintage. And I'm going to bring the vintage figure back. So, just like the vintage turtle figures, Slash had a triangular eye for his, his regular eye. And of course we have one here too. But these are not the same. They are almost the same kind of triangle, but they are flipped. So you can see like the longer part is on the bottom on the vintage figure, the longer part is on the top on the Super 7. It is a minor, stupid pet peeve kind of gripe, but it's a difference. And once I noticed it, I can't stop seeing it. It's not like a negative thing. It's not bothering me. I'm certainly not going to, cry about it, but it's a weird change that I just can't stop seeing. So that eye right there is just a little difference when it comes to shape, sizing, and just overall positioning of that triangle. So yeah, I'm kind of grasping about for things that I think when it comes to, nitpicking, that's a nitpicky thing, because otherwise he's pretty stellar. I'm really happy with the way he turned out. Colors are super bright and vibrant. I say that despite the fact him being a little bit darker, but he's super saturated. It's all very deep colors. Maybe that's a better way to say it. The colors are deep and they're just lively. Not to mention the fact that this purple and pink and the teal color scheme, it just pops against itself. And then you've got these hits of yellow on the back. He's a really wild looking figure. I think everybody's going to be super happy when they finally get this guy in hand. Now, as far as size comparisons go, let's start with Ultimates. So we've got a turtle here on the right. Of course, this is Super 7 Raph. We've got Slash in the middle and Super 7 Optimus Prime. And you can see that while these two are pretty similar in height, Slash edges them out just a bit. Slash is huge by comparison in just every other way, front to back, side to side. Optimus, being of course very different from these two, he's going to tower over both of them. Now let's bring in some other Slash figures. So here is the Archie Slash from NECA. And you can see, he's obviously a much bigger figure than average. And then here is the video game Slash from NECA, which is of course kind of like a baseline turtle, because he's built on the same thing as the original NECA turtles, the toon stuff, the video game stuff. So you can see that he is dwarfed by our Super 7. And then let's do one more very much non-turtle, non-related figure. Unrelated, I think, would be the real word there. So here is Speedball from Marvel Legends, and he's of course a little bit taller because Slash is hunched, he's hunched forward a bit, but Speedball also has that luxurious head of hair too to make him seem a little bit taller than he is. But otherwise, beyond that, front to back, side to side, it's an incredibly huge difference in terms of the amount of plastic here. So he's a big figure, he's a big boy, he is definitely going to have a bit of presence on your shelf. Now, as far as accessories goes, Slash has a pretty solid spread, and that is very much in line with the vintage figure because, of course, that vintage figure did have quite a few things. The name of the game here is mostly an arsenal of weapons and then some stuff to change him up. So we, of course, being an Ultimate figure, we get an extra head here. The head that comes up in the box, I still think is going to be my favorite because, he's just so crazy that it's hard to not love this. This, of course, is the vintage-inspired head. This is our Super 7 alternate head, which is just a little bit more subdued. And I think it works in contrast pretty nicely to the very crazed and manic Playmates head. So you get two different options. Both of them look like a turtle you would never want to mess with. They're just different levels of mad Slash, I suppose. And then we get some extra hands. So he gets 3 extra sets. You get the vertically hinged gripping hands on him in the box. We get a set, of course a set is 2, of the style pose hands. We get a set of fists. And then we get a set of laterally hinged gripping hands. And of course they all have the wraps and the spikes, the slashes, the knives, whatever, on the hands. The rest of what he comes with is all weaponry. And we've already talked about the belt and of course the throwing stars, the shurikens on there. So you've got the 2 different kinds and 3 total. Now he also has these grenades. You get 2 of these. And in the Playmates figure on that belt, there was a sculpted grenade right in this spot. So you can hook one on there, and then you also get an extra. We get his dagger that fits right here. So this is just a silver and black dagger that will sort of mimic some of the weaponry that he has. And Slash always had some crazy stuff. All of his stuff was like cobbled together and just nasty and gnarly. So you get the sort of jagged dagger. And then we get the sword that goes along with it, the crooked sword. We get the spiked mace. And of course this is all done up in that like pink color scheme that his weapons were very much known for. They've gone and done up some of the paint accents as far as, actually painting them. So you got the silver spiked ball, you've got black wraps, and then silver accents on the actual staff part itself. And it's all like gnarly, just, wood, like pieces of wood, not like treated wood or actually finished wood. It's just big hunks of wood when it comes to his weaponry. You get the nunchucks, the spiked nunchucks. Maybe watch out for these. They don't feel as flexible as Mikey's usually are, and I'm assuming it's maybe because of how they're constructed. They do have some give to them, but maybe just watch out, be careful with these. And then we get my favorite Slash accessory is, generally speaking, his like sort of brass knuckles spiked dagger. And of course you've just got a big hunk of wood for the handle, but you've got the big spiked brass knuckle kind of thing here, and then you've got this big sort of gouged out knife blade here with the like the sawtooth on the back. And all the silver on these is all really super metallic and shiny, and overall it makes these what would have been pink accessories in the vintage line just look a little bit cooler because they just have a little bit more to them, and you can see more of those little details. Now, of course, he also has one more thing. you get a big old monster sprue weapons rack, and it's done up in that pink, and this is, again, more of that sort of just gnarly wood motif. So you've got just big, like, crooked, jagged 2x4s that are lashed together to make the frame, and then you get all of that other weaponry in there. So if you want to get to the vintage side of things, you can chop all this up, and you've got vintagey, even more vintagey style weapons. So a lot of stuff here. Like, really, he comes with a lot of cool stuff. I'm really happy with all the ways you can change him up, and I really like the way, again, that all this stuff does fit on his belt. You can have him holding almost everything, not all of it, but he can have tons of weapons on him at any given time, and it's all pretty solid. I mean, Slash has always had, at least to me, a lot of really cool weapons. So yeah, overall, I am super happy with this figure. I think Slash is probably the best figure in this wave for me right now, and like I said, he's probably going to be the most anticipated, probably the fan favorite, just because of who he is. But he's also a really solid figure, no pun intended, because he is a really solid figure. He's big, he's bulky, he's beefy, but he looks fantastic. I do think, of course, that he definitely leans on the darker side of things. I don't think there's any disputing that. And of course, that eye is a slight little pet peeve thing for me. It's not the end of the world. I'll probably forget about it by the time I'm done with this, but it's worth mentioning. Otherwise, I think he looks fantastic. He moves pretty good. I love the fact that that tail moves, and then, of course, he comes with a huge set of accessories, a whole arsenal, basically. And it's Slash. You really can't go wrong with him, and the Playmates Slash was always one of my favorites, and Super7 did a really good job of reinterpreting him for the Ultimates line. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super7 Ultimates Wave 6 TMNT Slash. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.